guys, welcome to webinar 3 of the online real-time stuff we've been doing during the lockdown. So this webinar is about recording at home. So it's basically a quick kick-off on how to take the first steps in recording at home. It's not going to be focusing on a specific part of recording or using a specific piece of software. And if you want more detail, we'll be going into the breakout rooms later on, which will be available for you to dive a wee bit deeper into the subjects you might be interested in. But overall, it's going to be a sort of general looking at recording at home using stuff you've got. So recording always breaks down into sort of 3 main areas. The environment that you record in, the hardware you've got to use, and also the software you've got to use. So this webinar is going to focus on the first sort of 2 areas, the environment and the hardware. And we're going to be looking at the easiest and sort of cheapest solutions for during lockdown that you guys can use, which most of you will probably be your mobile phone. So first and foremost, the environment. This is basically, like I was saying, where you record. So a couple of ideas for this are to have a quiet room, which for you guys mostly will probably be your bedroom, or if you've got availability in a room, your house that's quiet, then fantastic. So a couple of good things to keep in mind for your environment is have a quiet room, somewhere that no one will bother you, but also that you won't bother them if you feel like you're going to be recording at slightly loud levels or singing. If you're using a laptop or computer, trying to make sure you've got your devices quiet or they are quiet, that can always help with the recording sound that you're trying to pick up. Like I was saying, most of you are probably going to be recording in your bedrooms in the house. So a couple of things to keep in mind for that are, if you feel you want to try and be a bit more advanced and make the sound, the area you're using sound a bit better, there's a couple of things you can keep in mind. Try not to have a hard surface behind you, like a wall or that. Sometimes hanging a duvet can be useful. And one of the stories I was telling the guys when putting this webinar together was that when I recorded in my house, I used to open up my wardrobe with my jackets and clothes in it, and stand with my back to it, and I'd have my mic in front of me, so that behind me I'd had basically the wardrobe because I had the doors open, and that's really good for sort of killing the sound a wee bit of your room if you're trying to get it a bit more dampened. And you can even put your duvet over the top of that, which sort of helps with the sound as well. So if you can picture that, then it'll sort of give you a good idea. Other things to keep in mind is your mic placement. So basically where you're placing the microphone or your mobile phone or tablet. So try not to move it about. You don't want to be moving it, so try not to hold it, especially if you're singing or that. You want to try and keep it steady, especially if you're using a phone or a tablet. Basic setup is basically close but not too close. Usually about a foot is quite good distance, but sometimes if you're too close you can get what's called popping, and I'll give you an example of that right now, which is any words that start with a P, put, you get a sort of pop in the microphone and it doesn't sound too good. Or you can be too far away and it sounds like you're in a sort of echoey room. So ideally you want to try and keep it between 1 and 2 feet away from your microphone to sort of get the best sound. And sometimes, especially if it's singing, you might want to just point it a wee bit off axis for your mouth so that you're not directly, the breath coming out your mouth is not directly going into it. But again, it's all sort of down to experimenting and learning. So learn by doing, but if you want to take things up to the next level, like I was saying, you can start looking at the ways of isolating the sort of sound in your room as well, using the wardrobes and all that sort of stuff. So that brings us on nicely to the next piece, which is the hardware you're using. So there's always going to be 1 or 2 types of hardware set up for you guys. So basic, which is what most of these will have, which is the phone or tablet, plus a set of headphones. So you can see obviously the image of the guy there. He's got his tablet and he's got his headphones on. So that's a really basic setup that all you should be able to basically acquire. So the pros and cons you sort of use in your phone or your tablet. Phones and tablets are really powerful and sensitive microphones. they're mega portable. Obviously, you can take them about everywhere. And if you can use headphones, then that'll help eliminate bleed. Now, what bleed is basically the sound that's coming through your headphones. If you were using speakers, the sound that would be coming out your speakers could travel back into the microphone and be picked up. So if you use headphones, then that sort of eliminates that happening. So any of the sounds that's playing on your device, then if they're not coming out speakers and you've got headphones on, that's going to be good because it's going to help with the sound isolation. The sort of cons, basically, using your phone or your tablet, though, are that they're very hard sometimes to control the audio. They can have little or no monitoring, which can make the recording harder to achieve. So what I mean with monitoring is basically the sound that goes into your microphone, whether it's you singing or playing your instrument, you can actually hear that in your headphones as well. So that it sounds like you're not, sometimes if you've got headphones on, you feel a bit isolated for what the sounds that are happening in the room. So if you've got a monitoring capability on your device or using or the software you're using, then it lets you hear along with in your headphones what you're recording. So it makes it a wee bit easier when you're recording for the environment you're in, particularly singing. Other cons can be sometimes the small screen on your phone can be a wee bit tedious to use when you're recording if you're trying to use software a lot while doing that. Latency can be an issue. A lot of you are probably going, what's latency? Well, latency is basically the time it takes for the sound to travel into your recording device and all the way through it processed and back out to your headphones. So that's the latency. That's basically the time that takes. And it is very short time, but if you do get a wee bit of latency, again, it can make the sound in your headphones a wee bit wishy-washy and a bit weird. But sometimes, most times, I would say, in fact, it's not really a big issue, but sometimes you can get it. So if you're starting off recording, those are the sort of things to keep in mind. But if you're wanting to upgrade or improve your sound and get a bit more advanced from just using the microphone in your phone, you can buy wee accessories that go along with your phone and tablet and that to help. So the two you can see there on the screen are produced by a company called iRig, which are pretty good. And Reeltime uses these devices up in the community centre. So they're fairly cheap. They're about £20 to £30, and they allow you to plug your instrument directly into your phone or your tablet, and also microphones as well. So they can be pretty useful. And again, once you use them, you can start opening up a whole new world of things as well when you use it combined with software. If some of you guys are a bit more advanced and using maybe like laptops, computers, these will be the types of hardware you will be using. So you'll be using like an audio interface, a microphone and headphones. And an audio interface is basically the thing you plug your instrument or your microphone into that converts it then into sort of digital information that your device, whether it's your laptop, computer or your tablet, can then understand and record it in. So if you're a sort of more advanced person, then these are the sort of hardware things you'll be using. And the pros and cons for them, if you're sort of using an audio interface and a higher quality mic like a condenser, you can get really professional sounding recordings using a condenser mic. Lots of control out of the recording using an audio interface because you can set your levels really easily and what it sounds like in your headphones. You generally get a better experience with monitoring, the thing I was talking about earlier, so you can hear yourself maybe better in your headphones or you're recording and blend that a wee bit better with the sound that you're maybe recording along with. Sort of cons though with the advanced type of hardware is it can cost money, and you're probably looking at about a minimum of £100 just for a basic sort of starter setup of a good quality condenser mic and an audio interface. And then obviously on top of that you still have to buy your sort of music, your mic stand and maybe the wee pop shield that would go in front of your microphone to stop the popping. The other thing about when you start becoming a bit more advanced recording at home is it can lead on to sort of knowing about loads of different types of companies and generally lots more information about all the different sort of devices there is to buy, particularly with audio interfaces and microphones. So it can be a wee bit overwhelming and off-putting at times as well. But if you can, you've got someone you trust and you can talk to them, then they can hopefully point you in the right direction. Okay, so quickly, just before we move on to the sort of breakout rooms, just quickly wanted to talk about the other third one, which was software. So we discussed the environment you record in, sort of the hardware you guys could be using, and obviously the software. So there's lots out there. It's just a case of finding the right one for you and experimenting with it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over some of the sort of common scenarios that a couple of you guys told us about when we were putting this webinar together. And what I want to say is there was 3 sort of main scenarios that came out. The first scenario was I want to record one thing and play it back on my phone. So that could have been you singing yourself solo, like a cappella, or you were just wanting to solo play your guitar instrument and record that into your phone. That was the sort of first thing people said, I just want to be able to do that. The second scenario was I want to record while listening to something and play them both back. So that could be you've got your favourite sort of karaoke or backing track, and you want to then record your voice along with that while you're listening to it. Okay, and then the third scenario, which is taking the second one and sort of building on it, is I want to record lots of things and play them all back. So that would be getting more into recording what we call an overdub. So an overdub is you've already recorded something and then you record something along with that and you continue doing it, and that's what you call overdubs. So that was the 3 sort of scenarios that young people were telling us about when we were putting this webinar together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to split up into our breakout rooms, and John's working on this in the background for us, and myself and Craig are going to take a breakout room each, and now this is the opportunity for you guys to bombard us with the questions that you want us to sort of try and help you with if you're just trying to get started with recording in your house or that. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to John, and then he'll put us into the breakout rooms, and myself and Craig will work with you guys to give you some suggestions and hints and tips from there. Okay. Thanks very much, guys, for taking part in the breakout rooms. We're just going to have a wee bit of feedback now from Craig and myself about what was sort of discussed in the room. So, Craig, what was happening? What was the sort of things you were discussing in your room?
We talked about a few things. So we were talking about, Emma actually asked a great question there just towards the end of our session about if you've got GarageBand or something similar to that, can you actually import music, like backing tracks and things like that, in so that you can sing over them? And you absolutely can, guys. You can you can download, say you've got an iPad with GarageBand on it, if you can download a backing track or a karaoke version particularly, you can import that straight into GarageBand and sing over the top of it. You can just drag it in. We're talking a wee bit about just try to do it as basic as possible. So using your phone and being kind of creative and being kind of practical about it. So we're saying, like, if you're recording even if you're, like John was saying, if you're recording a piece of audio into like the voice recorder in your phone, and you're sitting playing a guitar and singing away and trying to get a song idea, make sure the phone's in line with your head. And no, like sitting like I do all the bleeding time, sitting like underneath your guitar, and all you hear is guitar. So placement's important. And even what I've found works is if you've got an old T-shirt or something lying about, put your phone inside it, and it acts almost like a wee pop shield. Totally. That can help as well.
No, that's
some of the high frequencies.
That's some good stuff. No, and I think that resonates with some of the stuff we were talking about, which was the mic placement as well. Some of the guys were saying sometimes the mic in their phone doesn't work too well in that, and I was saying sometimes you've got the wee clip-on mics, you can try them. It's just experimenting. And again, the stuff we were talking about, like how you set it up. Alex was telling us about like how set up the room so that using the duvet trick, which is a great one, and it helps with the sound quality and that, do you know what I mean? And then obviously the other thing the guys were saying was like, it's all good in us saying like you should get these devices, you still have to save up and get them, do you know what I mean? So I was saying those opportunities at birthdays and Christmas and that's when I got mine. So but they do help, and I certainly got a lot of use out of mine. Trying to think of a couple of other things. So the other thing we talked about was, again, the software and Soundtrap came out, because that's quite readily used as well. and a lot of the guys they were in our room. So again, it's like I was saying with the software, it's like download them because the majority of them are free and test them, try it. You know what I mean? And then let us know like what ones are good. Do you know what I mean? Because I've spouted off a few I used that were good, but again, there's even more out there. So we're looking for you guys to let us know what other things are good and out there that we can share with other young people that might be trying to do some more recording. So we've got just about a minute left of the webinar. So I think I should take this opportunity to thank you guys for coming along. And like I said, we'll be putting up some links to stuff that's been related to what was discussed in the webinar. And obviously, hopefully all these will get the weekly newsletter as well. It'll have a copy of this in it, and obviously the podcast and the live performances from this week. So on behalf of everyone at Reeltime, I'd just like to say thanks for joining today's webinar, and we hope to see you at the next one as well. So stay tuned to the emails for what that will be. So take care, guys, and we'll see you the next time.
Cheers for coming, guys. Good to see you.
Cheers for coming.
Brilliant.